All right, we're going to get started with transform your brand's customer experience by using AI. And our speaker now is Ganes Kesari. He is the co-founder and head of analytics at Grammarly. Ganesh co-founded Grammarly, you can find that at grammarly.com, an award-winning data science company where he heads analytics and innovation. Ganesh has advised hundreds of enterprises like E&Y, Deloitte, Novartis, plenty of them, on their analytics journey and has helped several NGOs, such as the Gates Foundation, adopt data science and AI models in their conservation efforts. He's passionate about the confluence of machine learning, information design, and business value. He's a passionate writer, international speaker, and corporate trainer, striving to simplify data science and help everyone understand its true potential. You can find him speaking regularly at conferences around the world like O'Reilly Strata, O'Reilly AI Conference, TEDx, HubSpot Inbound, Anaconda Con, and Fifth Elephant. You can also find him on Medium at Kesari, where he is a top writer in artificial intelligence. And with that, we passed it over to Ganesh.
Thank you, Debbie. I think that was a little longer. Thanks for the introduction, though. And excited to be here, part of this event. And I really look forward to interacting with all of you. So anytime during the presentation, if you have any questions, please stop me. We're allowed to have a conversation going. So today we'll talk about how you can transform your brand's customer experience by using AI. I'd like to begin with a story. So this is an ancient fable, a story of an elephant and 6 blind men. So in a village, there lived 6 blind men who had never encountered an elephant all their lives. And one day when they came across this beast on the road, they got pretty excited. They scrambled around and started touching the animal. And each one was touching a different part of its body. The first one who was touching its spear said, "I finally know what an elephant looks like." And he said, "It looks like a sharp spear." The second person was touching its trunk and said, "No, you're wrong. It doesn't look like that. It is like a giant snake." Third person touching its ear said, "It's like a large fan." And the fourth person was touching its body. And he said, "All of you guys are crazy. It's like a big wall." And the fifth one, holding its legs, said, "It's as round as a tree trunk." And the last person was very puzzled. And he said, "Are you all out of your minds? It is nothing but a big rope." So as the elephant walked by, these people stood there quarreling, not seeming to agree what an elephant really was like. What is the relevance of the story to our presentation today? Organizations and the departments are like these blind men. So they come in touch with the customer, the elephant in this case, and each of the organizations and departments are understanding the customer from their own perspective. They don't take time to understand it from another viewpoint. As a result, when they get into a meeting to discuss and take a decision about customer and how to improve the experience, they don't seem to agree. As a result, all of them miss the elephant in the room. The customer experience is broken today. Organizations are siloed. Departments don't talk to each other enough. The decisions are myopic. People look at customers based on their very last interaction. They don't take a holistic view. The decisions are also transactional. They look at what is coming up next within that particular interaction. They don't look at the complete history or in terms of how it's going to shape in the environment in the coming months. As a result, the decisions are unscientific. They are not based on data. As a result, the customers feel indifferent, they feel ignored, leading to lost relationships and lost revenue. So in this presentation, you will understand the power of data, and you will get enough ideas on how you can apply data in the customer experience context. And finally, we'll look at 4 steps that all of you can apply at job to improve your customer experience by using data. Debbie has already introduced me. I'm a co-founder and head of analytics at Grammarly. At Grammarly, we focus on solving business problems by presenting insights as stories. We help organizations start their data science journey, use analytics and visualization, and build teams to apply analytics and get benefits by adopting data science organization-wide and building a culture of data. And I'm passionate about simplifying data science for everyone. So with that, we dive into the presentation. I like this quote. When we talk to organizations, people complain that they don't have enough data. But if you look at it, the errors using inadequate data are much less than when you don't use any data at all. The gut decisions, while in some cases you can get it right, with larger customers, larger organizations, and a longer horizon in a competitive landscape, you are much better off using data, even if it is inadequate. Here are the 4 steps on how you can understand your customer. Step 1 is to listen everywhere. Listen to the customers, and they talk all the time, not necessarily to the organization or directly to the brand, but they interact in various ways. It could be through direct channels such as voice of customer feedback, where you reach out through surveys, through interviews, and you hear directly from them. Or it could be on social media. If we are unhappy about a brand or an experience, what do? We go and complain on social media. And if we are delighted, we do the same thing. We go and talk about how we loved an experience. And we interact with brands all the time, using our phone, using our devices, and that gives a lot of vital clues as to what the customer loves and how it can be improved. So here's a quick example. When you look at public data, there are enough signals that you can glean from them. As a quick example, when you type in some queries into Google, it starts showing up several auto suggestions. So these are the top queries which people are searching for right now. Millions of queries. It's just aggregating and showing that. When we type in a query like this, how do I convert to? And this was in google.co.in in the India domain. These are the religions that come up. So you get a sense of what people are searching for. Whereas when I repeat this in the US, here's what it looks like. So PDF shows up first, and you can understand the priorities in the market. So it's very easy and convenient to find what people are thinking about. And there are several sources where you can tap into, and all of these are easily available. So we got pretty excited with this. And what we did was we pulled all of this and we created an interface, which is publicly available on our website. What if I search different keywords? What is important or how to do something? And for each of the keywords, what are people searching in different geographies? This is very interesting. When people type in how to, how does it change by geography? What are people searching for in India, UK, US, and so on? So in India, when we type in how to, the top suggestions on Google based on what people are searching for: how to make, how to kiss, how to lose weight, how to get pregnant. So these are more physical things which people want to understand. And whereas in the US, how to freeze your credit, how to make slime, how to tie a tie. So the priorities are very different. You can understand that. Whereas in the UK, people want to make pancakes and lose weight fast. So some priority. So this is this can be applied in the enterprise context. We've used this for digital marketing to find out what people are searching about when they talk about your product. When you put in a product keyword, are they interested in finding it, finding how to use it? Are they interested in reviews on what others are telling about it? Or are there any other problems that they are talking about? So accessibility, or in terms of, for example, in the case of drugs, are they worried about the side effects of the drugs? So that's that gives an insight into the minds of the customers. Digital marketing there for you. I see a message. Let me see if there is any question. I see some chat. Okay, so that's an observation. Yeah. So moving on. So here's one more example, again, from the enterprise context. Assuming we have apps and products, technology products, we want to find out what are the competitor products, how popular they are. So if I'm looking at, say, a media player or these music players, this is a website called alternative2.net, where people come in and have conversations about it in terms of the usage. So you can find out media players, VLC is popular, and iTunes, and so on. So here you can understand which one is popular, which is there in the ecosystem. And this can be a good proxy to market research or other extensive paid efforts. So the summary here is look for public data, and this can be a good complement to whatever you collect internally. And there are good interfaces. This is something which we had put together, but the data is public. We had pulled it into an interface and created a visual interface to explore and play with that. That's something which we do for our clients at Graham now. So moving on. In summary, look for 3 types of feedback. When you listen to customers, look for direct feedback where you hear from the horse's mouth. Indirect feedback where you look at website, the customer's trying to give a feedback, but not directly to you, but you can listen to it. And there is a third category where the customer is not intending to give a feedback, but just by virtue of using the product, could be the website visits, or could be in terms of when a person is making some, say, accessing an app on the phone, the time of the day, the location, as long as the data is, it's okay to use the data, you can infer and find out what customers are thinking about your solution. But a final note of caution before we move on to the next step. A lot of people jump into AI before even having their data in place. So it's quite like this, where you can't put the cart before the horse. You need to have good quality data to do any analytics, leave alone AI. So step 1 was listening to the customer. Second step is to understand what they want. Once you've collected the data, you need to process it. You need to understand what other customers are saying. That's where analytics becomes very useful. So we look at the power of analytics, and specifically the power of AI. Where are we today? So when you have Facebook likes, assuming I have access to your Facebook likes and I have 10 of your Facebook likes, what can I tell about your preferences? So I can tell, and I can know you about as well as a colleague. If I have 70 likes, I know you as well as a close friend. 150, and I know you as well as your parent. And if I have 300 likes, I have a very good understanding of your preferences, like your spouse. Give me a few hundred more, maybe I'll know even better than you know about yourself. And this is why it can get a little dangerous and spooky as well. We saw the Cambridge Analytica and all of those, the controversies, and that's the power of data. It can be misused. Yes, we need to guard against that. On the flip side, when used the right way, it can tell a lot about people preferences, and as long as you have access to use the data. AI can master a body of text, given that a lot of conversations happen in natural language between humans. Could be voice or could be written, chat, and in terms of articles. So AI has made significant advances in the last year. In 2019, there were several AI models which have mastered natural language processing. So good example is that of OpenAI. They built a language model around end of last year, where they trained this model on millions of Wikipedia articles, and it was able to do the Q&A comprehension, reading comprehension, and it also picked ability to generate or write articles or write text. So here's an example. When a human primed it with these 2 sentences, then the machine had to continue and write. In this case, they're talking about unicorns living in the mountains, and then that they spoke perfect English. And this is a human attempt to check how good the AI and how creative it can get. This is what the model wrote after that. I'll just read the first paragraph. The scientists named the population after their distinctive horn, Ovid's unicorn. These 4 horned silver white unicorns were previously unknown to science. And it goes on. This is a full article, as writing as well as a trained journalist. So this is the power of AI with text. And by the way, just to set the context and expectations, AI had generated a lot of other continuations of this initial prime sentences. And this, what you see, was also one of those. And there were several others which did not make as much sense. But this was a great start because at least some of these articles and whatever AI had independently written made a lot of sense. Now, the attempt which researchers are working on is to make sure that it eliminates the garbage and produces more of these useful sentences, useful applications. So you can see that already AI is fast advancing, and that's why OpenAI said that this was a dangerous model to be released because it could lead to creation of fake news at scale. Thirdly, AI can understand pictures. It can detect and make sense of it, count. So here's an example of counting crowds using AI. And this is something which we had done. We built a model, a deep learning based model to count the number of people in this picture and pictures like this. So with human approximation, you might not be able to come up with a close estimate. But the AI model was able to come up with fairly close estimates irrespective of the size for fewer people or more people. And it's fast advancing in computer vision as well. So what I'm trying to share is that AI, machine learning have a very good capability and they can be tapped for understanding your customer. Here's a quick 101 on how these machine learning programs work. For those who don't understand this enough, here's a quick 101. So we are moving from programs that solve a defined problem in a defined way, which is automation, to programs that learn how to solve a problem. So when you show enough known inputs and known outcomes, the machine learns how to do the job. So when you show a new unseen input, it is able to come up with a desired outcome. So that's how machine learning works at the root. And it's not very different from how humans think and learn. If I look at how I teach my kids, like my toddlers, to understand, when we show pictures, flashcards, and keep repeating the names, they're able to understand it without really calling out the individual features of animals. So that's how machine learning and AI specifically is learning. But a note of caution here, when I talk about all of this, people immediately start thinking Skynet and singularity. Thankfully, we are not there yet. So AI goofs up. It's not really like the robot you see here, the Boston Dynamics one, which can do backflips. But it's more today like this, where it's a goofy robot. It makes a lot of mistakes. And even in the case of computer vision, like the example we saw, it can get things wrong. Instead of the fox squirrel here, it calls this out as sea lion with a very high level of confidence. So it does get things wrong, and it's some years away from becoming very smart and getting a general intelligence. And it's also easy to fool it, where you inject some noise, it starts getting confused between a pig and an airliner. So where I'm getting to with all of this is, the power is there already, but it needs a lot of guidance. So the key is in asking the right questions to bring value from analysis. So you need to start with descriptive questions to find out what's happening, what happened in the past, and deeper questions to find why it's happening, diagnostics, and future forward-looking questions, what is likely to happen, which is predictive analytics. And finally, you need to guide the business users on what has to be done, what should they do with all of these insights, the prescriptive analytics. So the key is in coming up with the right questions and taking it along the way till the completion, where you bridge the gap between data and decisions. So that was step 2, understanding the customer by looking at the data and analyzing it. Third is, once you have the insights, you need to place it in context. Otherwise, it is useless. How do you contextualize your insights? Let's look at this feedback. In this case, a customer is using an application, an app on the phone, and this is the feedback. The customer says, I love the product features and super quick onboarding, but the great experience did not continue while using your product. Your support teams have been helpful, but I'm not sure whether I'll buy again. So that's long feedback. And if you run simple sentiment analysis, it might give you a score of 0.6, 0.7. But what does it really mean? Firstly, you need to put it into the context by looking at journey steps. here are some six standard journey steps which McKinsey has published. There are different journey steps depending on the business. What's relevant for your business, you can choose. But this is a good starting point. The 6 stages: identify, select, co-develop, and then when you're using the product, dealing with issues, and finally reordering. So if we take the same feedback, put it into these 6 journey steps, what do they look like? So we have 5 journey steps talked about here: identify, customize, use product, deal with issues, and reorder. Now, if we bring in the sentiment and say, are customers happy or unhappy about each of these features? So you can see that 3 steps the customer is happy about, and 2, they are not very happy. But it so happens that these 2 are the most important. One is in the product usage, the other is in the reordering. So if we don't pay attention to this, this is a lost customer very soon. So that's where the power of analysis can channel your efforts in terms of where you need to improve. And once you get all of this feedback, you need to integrate the signals, because you would be listening from different feedbacks, surveys, social media. How do you channelize all of it together and integrate it? So for example, if you're launching a clothing brand and you found that the summer collection, you're running some feedback surveys in the store, customers are not very enthusiastic about it. And you find from competitive survey that a particular brand, a competition, has better colors and better range than you. And social media, you hear that customers are disappointed with your brand. And when you put all of these together with the market, the financial results where you lost market share, you can come up with a headline, which is the integrated insight saying, our summer collection didn't land well. Brand B scored on vibrancy. Poor feedback led to 2.5% market share loss. Now, this is an actionable insight where all of your teams, the product teams and the distribution teams, and all of them can come together and take a decision as opposed to working in silos. That is the power of integrated contextualized feedback. Final step is, once you put all of this in place, in order to make the decision makers take some right action, you need to present these as data stories. Insights reach the users only when presented as data stories. Otherwise, they are statistical results, model outputs, which people don't understand. So Gartner says that half of data science projects fail because of bad storytelling. How do you tell better stories? Firstly, what's the definition of a story? A lot of people by mistake equate storytelling as visualization. It's not true. To a visual, we need to add narrative and context. So let's look at this example, a typical visualization which you can come up with using self-service BI tools. You throw in some numbers and you come up with some charts. A lot of people get happy with this and say that, okay, here are some pictures, let the business team use it. But what does it really mean? What do they interpret and what do they do with it? Here we just have 2 lines. Yes, I get a sense of it, but to make it powerful, I need to add some context. I say that here a competitor launched a new product because of which I reached a plateau. And then the competitor's product had some issues because of which my sales started recovering. And that's the scenario for the domestic product, and how is it looking for international rollouts. Now, when we put in sales grew 40% in 2018, despite competitive product launches. So this is a summary. And then if we take the same narrative forward, we can move into a recommendation saying that this is what happened and this is what you should be doing. So now when you package all of this together, that becomes a business story which your end users and the business teams can act on. They don't have to care about AI. They don't have to care about analytics or any of the data underlying. All they need are actionable stories. Here's an example of how we can bring in the earlier customer feedback and how we can use storytelling to improve customer satisfaction. So here we looked at the journey steps. We've aggregated feedback from a lot of customers, and we're going to plot this on 2 scales. One, x-axis has customer sentiment. How happy is a customer with a journey step? And second one is how important it is. Just because a customer is happy doesn't mean that the brand is going to do well. There are certain areas which are very important. A customer is basing the decision based on customer service or based on the ease of reordering. Onboarding may not be important. So that's the y-axis. So when we place all of this into this matrix, we see that identify, and there are 3 journey steps which are very important compared to the other 3. And of these 3, there are 2 where you're doing well, the customers are happy. And there's 1 which is important, but customers are unhappy, which is customer service. So this is one area which you need to improve upon. Further context to it, what happened last quarter to this quarter, because the importance keeps changing. It's a shifting ground. Customers are worried about something else next month or even next week. What changes? You need to keep that in mind and bring in the trends. So you can see that customer service was not as important, but has become a lot more important this time. And customer sentiment has improved in the buy decision process, but and importance is almost the same. So with this, you can come up with those recommendations saying improve on service, maintain, identify, and buy, and customize journey step is less important. So with this, we are bringing all of this together. And just to do a quick recap before we take the questions, the 4 steps we've looked at: listen to customer feedback, direct, indirect, inferred. There is a lot of public data available. You just need to be creative and look in the right places. And remember, data before AI. Understand the customer. Look at all kinds of data, not just the numbers. Look at text, pictures. AI has capability today. You can start with simple statistics and move on to analytics, machine learning, and AI. So start simple, but look at the possibilities. And importantly, ask the right questions. Contextualize all of these insights and tell them as stories to your end users. With this, you will be able to improve and take certain decisions which actually move your customer satisfaction and experience. So with that, I'll conclude and hope you found this useful. You can find this deck available here online, and I would be happy to take any questions or get in touch with all of you. If you have any questions now, I can take it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Wow, that was great. I feel a little smarter. We have everybody muted, so if you do have a question or a follow-up comment, please type it into the chat room to everybody. We'll keep Ganesh another minute or two and see if anybody has questions. But so far, as you know, the only comment we got was Randy was hoping to make pancakes and lose weight fast at the same time.
Yeah, so that's one more person. There are millions of people who are interested. Yeah, I would like to do that too.
Hey, invent that.